Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. And if you have not subscribed already but enjoy the content, then please kindly do so by hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. Okay, so today we're looking at Oleksandr Usyk versus Chazz Witherspoon, the second cousin to ex-heavyweight champ Tim Witherspoon. Okay, without delay. So, the fight started very tentatively on both parties, by both parties. Feeling out process. Jabs, just feeling out the range. And I would have to say in the opening stanza, opening round, Chazz Witherspoon made a good account of himself. It looked like it was going to be an interesting fight, and it did turn out to be an interesting fight. With moving into the second round, Usyk started to still a feeling out process, but Usyk started to look more like the potential, show his potential more. Okay, so, but still very tentative. Then going into round 3, Usyk started to move up the gears a little bit, step by step, very methodical. It was very clear that he trains in the same gym, is affiliated with Vasily Lomachenko. And you may ask why I say that, but it was became very clear that Usyk is a tactician and a trickster. I may title this piece Usyk The Trickster because he was showing all types of different looks, working angles, all times, turning, sidestepping, stepping out, stepping in. It was a little bit like a dance, moving upstairs, moving downstairs. Yeah, it reminded me of a kind of dance, a kind of folk dance. And immediately, Vasily Lomachenko came to mind. Usyk is just always aiming to confuse his opponent, have his opponent second guessing themselves, third guessing themselves, upstairs, downstairs, moving to the left, then the right, then forwards, then backwards, always looking to have the opponent confused. And let's talk about the punches. Variety of punches, but primarily in the early stanza, Usyk worked behind the jab. Upstairs, downstairs, then a hook. They followed up with a jab. A combination guy loves to do a nice combination and then move, change his position. So wherever he was when he started this combination, he would end up somewhere different by the end of the combination. And he very much reminded me of some good kickboxers. I remember one guy in particular, very difficult to spar. He'd hit you and then he'd be somewhere else. When you tried to go for your counter, he'd be somewhere else. Wherever he was when he threw the first punch, he wasn't there by the second punch. And in essence, fighting Usyk is like chasing a shadow. Always on the move, always looking to stick and move. Stick with combinations and move. And so ultimately I thought to myself during my assessment, this guy is a trickster. He's a trickster. Always on the move. Always. sticking out something, always trying to get some points. Point fighter is what comes to mind, the term point fighter. While you're trying to land a big one on him, he's just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, and scoring points in the meantime. Sticking and moving, but he likes to get the combinations in. Get a nice combination in and move. Change direction. Change the angle. At all times switching up. Leaving the opponent, Chazz Williams, by the end of the fight, bewildered and bemused. With a puffy face. He's getting those jabs in. Coming over with the backhand. Lead hand, backhand, change position. Chazz Williams, however, interestingly, or rather should I say Usyk, interestingly showed that he could be hit also. And there are a couple of times when Chazz Williams snuck around Usyk's guard and caught him a few times in the face. And that had me thinking, what if it were a more powerful puncher in there against Usyk? So Usyk can definitely get knocked out by one of the big hitters. Anthony Joshua can knock him out. Deontay Wilder can knock him out. But only if they resist the temptation to fall into his alluring rhythm. Because that's what he has. He has an alluring rhythm. He can put you to sleep, not with his punches, but just with his technique. His technique of just starting off nice and gently. It can lower the opponent's intensity. They think, yeah, okay, you want to go nice and gently at the first. Okay, well, let's go nice and gently. You know, it's a nice invitation. Let's go gently. So the opponent goes gently. And before you know it, half of the fight is over. And now you're in desperation mode. And when you're in desperation mode, that's when you start lunging. Chris Eubank Jr. did an interview one time, I can remember, when he was saying the reason why he wouldn't fight Harold Bomber Graham. And Harold Bomber Graham was another one of these fighters, very highly elusive. And Chris Eubank Sr. said, yeah, well, the thing is that he's not a particularly hard hitter. But after getting frustrated, the frustration of hitting and missing, people will tend to walk in and lunge in. And if you lunge in on a technician, they can turn you out because the intensity of the punch is doubled if you walk into it. So technicians, tricksters like Oleksandr Usyk, they don't really need to be powerful. And he's not particularly powerful at heavyweight, but they don't need to be. All they need to do is frustrate you for half of the fight, and then the chances are, out of anger and desperation, you're going to start lunging in. And if you start lunging into a medium-sized punch, a medium-weighted punch, it becomes a heavy-weighted punch if you walk right into it. And that is not Lomachenko. We're talking about Usyk, Oleksandr Usyk. That is his strong suit. Frustrate the living daylights out of you and then have you walk in to his shots. If he doesn't pin you up in a corner when you're dejected and out of ideas, when you don't have a clue left what to do. That's what Usyk does. So, in conclusion, what is Usyk? Usyk is a trickster. He's a mind gamer. He's a points fighter. A highly elusive points fighter. He's, it's one of those guys. One of those guys. Hard to hit. Keeps on moving. Lulls you into his rhythm. It's a slow rhythm. And then halfway through the fight, or a quarter of the way through the fight, when you're frustrated because you've been lulled into his tempo, his low tempo, and you start lunging in, that's when he takes advantage. So, my impressions of Usyk at heavyweight. The man is a trickster. It's what he does. He's a trickster. Highly technical, knows the game, knows how to get out of the way of your shots while delivering his shot consistently. It's like a light rain, like a drizzle. If you stand out in the light drizzle too long, before you know it, you will get wet without even realizing it. And that's how Usyk operates. He's not a big hitter. He can get knocked out. The secret is, don't fall into his rhythm. Don't fall into his rhythm. Don't fall into his patterns. And don't start believing that he can't be hit, because he can be hit, and he was hit. But it's the frustration that he causes beforehand that has people mentally dejected. And then they fall into his hands. So, in conclusion, Usyk underpowered as a heavyweight, but overpowered in the cerebral cortex. That means the brain to you. Yeah, but there are opportunities to be had with Usyk. He can be hit. You just need to understand how technical he is. Outboxing. Can he be outboxed? I think he can, if you don't fall into his mind trick. Make no doubt about it, he's good. He's damn good. And he's going to have some big success frustrating people in the heavyweight division. But know this and be sure of this. Usyk can be hit. And if you can get hit, you can get knocked out. He's going to pose some interesting questions for a lot of heavyweights out there in the coming future. But I look forward to him stepping up in competition. He's a very bright talent, so let's see it. That's my assessment. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares, and it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And oh yes, how did the fight finish? Well, Chazz, what's his name? Witherspoon finished on his stool. He's getting peppered up from the third round onwards. It's a constant peppering. It's like a constant drizzling. Like I said, if you stand outside in the rain in a light drizzle for long enough, you can get soaking wet. And that's what happened to Chazz Williamson. With Usyk constantly drizzling until he drizzled until he drizzled the fight out of Chazz Witherspoon. Did it go longer than some people think? Maybe. I had it as a 7-round finish. I don't know if I made that prediction clear. Not sure. Can't remember. I suspect not. But yeah, I expected the middle rounds finished by Usyk upon Witherspoon, who had something like 5 days notice. But he didn't look terribly out of shape. He looked half decent out of shape. Certainly good enough for 7 rounds. That's when he didn't get up for the 8th round. Lots of interesting fights to be had for Usyk. Is he going for the heavyweight title first? The WE is WBO mandatory. After all, time will tell. And that's my assessment. It's the Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like. It's the